100 years ago, almost everything in our lives would have been made of natural materials, like wood, cotton, leather, horn, bone, metals, clay, and glass. Then, in 1907, Leo Baekeland invented the world's first fully synthetic plastic. Plastic was cheap, easy to manufacture, versatile, and durable. Fantastic plastic revolutionized the world. Today, we live in a world full of plastic stuff. Food on the go, no washing up. Disposable plastic equals convenience. But how is that convenience created?
4.5 billion years ago, a giant molecular cloud collapses in space, setting free a solar nebula out of which a planet is born, Earth. For 2 billion years, this planet evolves and first life appears. A soup of cells. Bacteria, algae, fungi, a myriad of plants come to life. Fish rain the oceans and eat the algae. They absorb the sunlight and store it in their bodies. Dinosaurs, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals, they all live and die. And each year, their dead bodies are covered by layers and layers of sediment. Heat and pressure rise, turning them into yellow-black liquid. Oil. Humans arrive, and with them, geologists. They study for years to find the oil and build rigs in remote places. Giant pumps extract the liquid, and it's shipped across the oceans. A refinery now cracks it open, and once again it travels. A factory then binds the compounds and turns them into plastic pellets. Stored in big containers, around the world they go. Liquefied, they're molded into the shape of a beautiful spoon. The spoon drops and cools off to harden. Wrapped in plastic, it is put into a box, and the box is put on a pallet, and the pallet is put into a container, and the container is put on a truck, and the truck drives to a port, where the container is put on a ship, and ship, the spoon arrives 6,000 kilometers around the world, where it is picked up by a merchant who puts it on a truck and drives it to a store, where it's placed on a shelf in a temperature-controlled room, where it sits for 2 months, until you select it and pay for it with the money you've worked hard for, and you drive the spoon home, which is where you are standing right now, with the spoon in your hand. Now tell me, do you still think it's too much effort to use a metal spoon that you just have to wash?
Wow, so much energy goes into our convenient plastic products. Do we really need them? And what happens to all the plastic waste? Let's follow the story of 3 discarded plastic bottles to find out.
Bottle 1, like hundreds of millions of tons of his plastic brethren, ends up in a landfill. This huge dump expands each day as more trash comes in and continues to take up space. As plastics sit there being compressed amongst layers of other junk, rainwater flows through the waste and absorbs the water-soluble compounds it contains, and some of those are highly toxic. Together, they create a harmful stew called leachate, which can move into groundwater, soil, and streams, poisoning ecosystems and harming wildlife. It can take Bottle 1 an agonizing 1,000 years to decompose. Bottle 2's journey is stranger, but unfortunately no happier. He floats on a trickle that reaches a stream that flows into a river, and a river that reaches the ocean. After months lost at sea, he's slowly drawn into a massive vortex where trash accumulates, a place known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Here, the ocean's currents have trapped millions of pieces of plastic debris. This is one of 5 plastic-filled gyres in the world's seas, places where the pollutants turn the water into a cloudy plastic soup. Some animals, like seabirds, get entangled in the mess. They and others mistake the brightly colored plastic bits for food. Plastic makes them feel full when they're not, so they starve to death and pass the toxins from the plastic up the food chain. For example, it's eaten by lanternfish. The lanternfish are eaten by squid. The squid are eaten by tuna. And the tuna are eaten by us. And most plastics don't biodegrade, which means they're destined to break down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics, which might rotate in the sea eternally. But Bottle 3 is spared the cruel purgatories of his brothers. A truck brings him to a plant where he and his companions are squeezed flat and compressed into a block. Okay, this sounds pretty bad too, but hang in there. It gets better. The blocks are shredded into tiny pieces, which are washed and melted so they become the raw materials that can be used again. As if by magic, Bottle 3 is now ready to be reborn as something completely new. For this bit of plastic with such humble origins, suddenly the sky is the limit.
Recycling is important, but what we need to do is reduce our consumption of plastics. What can you do to reduce plastic pollution?